Like,
The research.
yeah.
That's really cool.
I was like, that is so cool. So she's very impressed.
Good.
Very
Well,
excited.
you know, to dig through for resources, and science and social studies for so long.
Yeah.
I had to do that.
And she was like, it's so complete. And it's got everything. She's pumped. Pumped. The whole first grade team is. Like,
All ready?
And they're doing 5 ponds for
All right, let's go.
all right, let's
K
go.
all the
Yeah.
way
Two for
to
those.
8th.
School board meeting will now come to order. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Do we have any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, I make a motion that we move the WHRO presentation to right before public comment and to accept the fundraiser approval that came in late today.
Okay. Heard that. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a second?
Second.
Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion so carried. Next, we have public announcements. August 14th, open house at all MHS schools from 4 to 7 p.m. August the 18th, 25th, 26th, first day of school. 29th, August the 29th, Middlesex School closed for Labor Day holiday. September the 1st, schools closed for Labor Day holiday. And September the 8th will be the next regular school board meeting here at St. Clair Walker. All right, next we have our presentation from WHRO.
Chairman Reed, Dr. Seitz, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to speak with you tonight. My name is Bert Schmidt. I'm the president and CEO of WHRO. With me is Elmer Seward. He's my vice president of education. So if you've got hard questions, I got backup too. I come to you because you are one of the 21 school divisions that literally own the license to WHRO. We're the only media company in the entire country owned by collaboration of school divisions. And for those of you who were around for a while, you may recall, you came on board, I want to say 2010, 2011, something like that, by one of our newer school divisions. But because of all the services that we offer, you pay about $3 per student and you get a whole host of services. Each year we provide you with an impact statement. I think you all have copies of this. That gets into detail about how the division uses our services. Rather than me going through the whole report for you, we do have a video that we're going to play that kind of summarizes the services that we offered last school year. You can play the video. Let's tell them there's sound. Do we have sound? Audio, please? Please?
See him in the booth working.
It's a lot of nice looking pictures that tell you nothing without the audio.
Of ownership model places education at the heart of our mission, influencing every aspect of our work. Our team of educators is committed to offering students, teachers, and families innovative, free, high-quality programs and services. One key service that WHRO offers is eMedia VA, Virginia's leading digital content repository. With nearly 100,000 free, top-quality instructional resources, eMedia VA provides educators and students with videos, interactive tools, games, lesson plans, images, and more. This platform is designed to enhance personalized learning and make classroom experiences more engaging. For our youngest learners, WHRO offers exciting educational activities to spark their imagination. Our 3 education vans visit elementary schools with programs tailored to Virginia's standards of learning, covering literacy, numeracy, scientific investigation, and technology. We also support parents and caregivers, ensuring children are prepared for kindergarten and set up for success in their early school years. For secondary educators, WHRO provides a catalog of 29 award-winning, customizable online courses and digital resources. These media-rich SOL-aligned courses are designed to integrate seamlessly with various learning management systems. They offer flexibility for face-to-face, flipped, blended, and fully online teaching environments, enriching lessons with engaging content. At WHRO, we celebrate student achievements through competitions that showcase their talents. The Great Computer Challenge, for example, gathers school teams from across the region at Old Dominion University to tackle real-world technology problems. Another highlight is the Town Bank Regional Spelling Bee, where middle school champions compete at WHRO's studio for a chance to advance to the Scripps National Spelling Bee. The local competition is recorded and aired on WHRO each April. Elementary students also have an opportunity to shine through our PBS Kids Writers Contest. This competition invites young writers to craft and illustrate their original stories, fostering creativity and critical thinking. Our Student Advisory Board reflects our commitment to student engagement. This group of high school students offers feedback on WHRO's content and has opportunities to create their own, influencing our online courses and eMedia VA resources. We're equally devoted to supporting educators through our professional development programs. Our workshops and training sessions provide teachers with cutting-edge strategies and tools, empowering them to inspire and guide their students effectively. Visit WHRO's education webpage to learn more about how these amazing free materials, programs, and resources can benefit you. At WHRO Public Media, we're proud to partner with our local school divisions and the Virginia Department of Education to shape the future of education one student at a time.
Within your report, there is an executive summary on page 2. I will just point out that last year you invested in $4,000 in WHRO and received benefits and value of $662,000, a return on that investment of $163 for every dollar that you invested. I hope you like that return on your investment, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Have the recent cutbacks in federal funds affected your program?
We have lost $2 million from those cuts, $2 million from those cuts, and we are still trying to figure out what to do. We're in the middle of a campaign to try to raise alternative funds, at least for this year, to give us a longer ramp to wind down the organization to a smaller organization. Most of the education services are funded through either the Department of Education or by the school divisions, so they are fairly safe since it's restricted revenues. But there are some that could be at risk. So we won't know, because this year I think our campaign, we're at the point where we'll probably cover ourselves this year, but going forward, it's a big hole in our budget. So it's really undetermined as far as what we might have to cut.
I asked Elmer the same question when I came in. Did you want to elaborate on anything, or?
I think Bert said it very well. We're hopeful, we're still in the fundraising stages, but we're hopeful that we'll have the money to cover that shortfall this year. But going forward, we're going to have to figure out how to pare back some of our offerings.
So the approach really is threefold. It's raise some short-term one-time funds to cover the $2 million loss, raise reoccurring monies through like memberships. And we're getting a lot of folks who are, without even asking, we're actually in a TV drive now, radio drive next month, trying to raise the reoccurring revenues, looking for alternative revenues. So I'm really focused on the revenue side, but we're also, because of this campaign, we're able to use attrition. So we've had, since the announcement, we've had 3 people either retire or leave for other jobs, and so we're not replacing those positions. So we are going to start shrinking. But come this spring, there may be layoffs. What services? Unfortunately, right now, I'm going to be more focused on what makes us money versus the mission, which is the federal government's funding of public media helped us do things that were mission-based, but not solely have an ROI. But now we're gonna be a little more focused on that ROI, unfortunately.
Are we looking at a possible increase as a school system?
That's not been discussed. And the way we have it now set up, we have a COLA increase every year. Because we would go like 10 years with no increase and then a big increase, so the schools agreed to COLA increases every year.
Okay. All right, any more questions?
No, you pretty much summed up the questions I had.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
Great, thank you very much,
Y'all
appreciate
have a
it.
safe trip
Thanks.
back. All right. Next, I will now open the floor for public comment.
I was asking if either of you signed up for public comment.
Okay. Being none, public comment.
We have to sign up anyway. Or we get allowed to get up and speak without signing up.
Was there a list out there?
There was a sign-up sheet out there, but
Okay, no.
Sure? Okay. Public comment is now closed. All right. Board member committee reports.
As far as for me, the Middlesex Foundation continues to meet monthly. We are actually meeting on Wednesday to determine the future of that foundation. The parties involved, Beijing in particular, is working on securing funds for the affordable housing projects, and so the foundation is kind of struggling with direction and projects, so we're gonna come after Wednesday.
Okay. That's all right.
School Construction Committee put October 14th on your calendar. In big capital letters, that's the date that we're meeting with the supervisors to talk about this important project. I think it will be a challenging meeting.
The only thing I have is Bridging Communities is beefing up security between Bridging Communities and RCC. Some of you might not know, they share a building. So
Okay.
that's an area that's getting addressed.
Okay, that's physically beefing up the securities
Yes.
in the building?
Yes.
Okay.
Any particular reason?
Yeah. Any problems?
They share a hallway, and it's just more, you got the community college sharing a building with high school kids.
Okay.
There's not been an incident.
No,
They're
there's
just
no
making
incident.
sure.
Proactive.
Yes.
Yes.
This is more just,
Okay.
No report, but I wanted to say thank you. I know Kim did a lot of work for convocation. I don't know if, and I know, well, I know Dr. Sykes always does a lot of work, but it was fabulous. And I told Dr. Bishop that first grade absolutely loves the Five Ponds Social Studies and Science book resource adaptation that we approved. So my sister said it's the first time in 27 years that everything is aligned and it's all there. So,
Thank you to the school
Very good.
board for
yes. Yeah. So
giving us
she's so
interest.
excited. They all are. So that was a good thing.
We like excitement.
And I would like to thank Dr. Burnett for filling in for me doing convocation duty calls.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
I wouldn't miss convocation.
12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it is what it is, you know. Man got to do what a man got to do.
I had the same problem. I've been disappointed about missing it all week.
Okay.
I just retired.
All right. Next, we have some action items. Dr. Sykes?
Oh, wow, we're there already, yes. All right, so we have a few policies for first read, 3, in fact, that require an additional update because they were overlooked when we got the, I think they came through in May, and you saw them first in June. They were just overlooked on the VSBA side, and so the first one, policy DJF, purchasing procedures, it's only a code number change. No change in the policy, just the code was updated. The second is policy JFC, student conduct, and the new or changed pieces were from the General Assembly, which, as I shared, were just missed in that update in June. Specifically, it's concerning cyberbullying, and it gives the definition. speaks about if it occurs outside of the school and involves our students. There's directive on providing supports, which we would expect to get from the Department of Education and the Virginia Department of Health. We need to get us that information, the supports. And then policy KBA, request for public records, that's an update that included a paragraph that was missing, and that goes actually back to the 2022 update when that was missing. So I'm happy to answer questions on those three policies that I bring to you for first read.
I have an amendment to JFC. If you read down on page 3, you'll notice that about the last third of the page, any student who is a victim of cyberbullying or witness to an instance of cyberbullying, I believe that there was an oversight there, because I believe that we want to provide protections also to those who are simply the victims of bullying, face-to-face bullying, not just cyberbullying. So I suggest that after a victim of, we insert bullying or cyberbullying, and then to an instance of bullying or cyberbullying will be provided. So we make it clear that this is not just support provided for victims of cyberbullying, but also victims of face-to-face bullying.
And I have a question, if that's okay. Is the cyberbullying, I see where it says cell phones or other technology, but does that only pertain to school-issued technology?
No,
So
it
could
would be.
Facebook, Instagram,
Yes.
anything?
If it's outside of school and it impacts, if the person who's doing the bullying and the person who would be considered the victim of it, or let's say cyberbullying, or our students is what it addresses there.
And of course, another question that it raises is, how do we provide that support? Especially if it's happened outside of
Yeah, that was
school.
my next question.
And I understand that the Department of Health and Department of Education are getting together up there in the Holy City, and they're gonna come up with some ideas for us.
They are supposed to provide us some resources. I know when I was on the webinar with the attorneys, she did say that, what you would provide and the action you would take would be on a case-by-case situation. You'd really have to look into the details of that. And so some of the struggles we have just with bullying, and the term bullying anyway, is if it's reported and then it does happen again, it doesn't mean the first report and action taken is going to prevent it. The important piece is to report again, so that the division is aware to take those next steps. We certainly would involve law enforcement in anything that involves threats. So for whether it's bullying, cyberbullying inside of school, the cyberbullying that meets the criteria that's outside of school, would be to continue to report it so that we're aware and can increase those levels of consequence and support and those things. You know, the other thing that we really need is parent partnership on this.
And is the see something, say something, is that how this, I mean, obviously you can report in person to somebody at the school.
Yep,
but
either of those things.
Okay.
We've even had students write a note and slip it into the principal's office to let them know that something was going on. So there are a variety of ways to
And that see
report.
something, say something is truly anonymous.
It is. You have the option of leaving, and some people have left a name and contact information, any of those things, but it's not required and it's not tracked on where it comes from.
I have a question, because it brings up between students enrolled in the school division. What do we do in essence if it's between students from our district and say another district?
Yeah, we've had that happen, and so we've reached out to other districts have reached out to us. At times, law enforcement in different places have been involved, and so that's not a new occurrence. We work together on those things. Yeah, typically it's around sports, is what
Yes.
we've seen.
Yes.
Is where
That's
it's
why-
happening between school divisions, but sometimes, athletic directors are involved, principals and assistant principals. Occasionally, superintendents, we've had some conversation over what's going on there, but we, we let the schools handle it. And at times, we've had to involve law enforcement also. But we do have those lines of communication open.
Game time has been changed
We've
because of that.
canceled things
Yes.
because of, Yep.
Okay. Anything else up on that?
No, just those.
Okay. All right, so these are on first reading, right?
Yes, these three are on first read.
So do we need to approve the amendment before we approve the reading? I believe.
Yes. All right, so can I have a motion on the amendments that have been
So moved.
Second.
moving properly second? Any question? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, now can I have a motion on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Any question? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is so carried.
I'll just continue then.
Okay, yep.
We have a policy on second read, which I feel like we're on fourth read on this one. Probably. It is KGD, notification of school-connected student overdose. So as per the request at last month's meeting, I did reach out to our paid counsel, and she also confirmed that there was no delayed effect for this policy. She also stated and confirmed that the policy wording comes directly from the statute and that she recommended adopting it. She did note that it is the law and that even if the school board continued to hold off on a policy, the law requires principals to make the notification. And so that is a part of the law. The policy is just another part of that law. And so the Board of Education did just vote last week, I believe, to approve guidelines for school-connected overdose response and parental notification policies. And those guidelines included model action plans, templates for action plans, sample communication, and other resources. So we are in the process of reviewing those guidelines now. So I do bring this back to you for, I guess we'll call it the official second read, but I'm happy to answer any more questions about it if you have any.
Since I was the one who raised the issue last month, I'll just say I think it's a poorly drafted policy. It really is not a good policy the way it's written, although I think communication about this is an admirable thing to do and the right thing to do. It's just the 24 hours that I think is impossible. It's not feasible. And the way the policy's drafted now, it almost assumes that there's going to be errors in the first communication because it says that you need to correct any misinformation that you provide the first time, which is probably something you never want to do, is to provide misinformation. Mm-hmm. However, it sounds like we're forced to approve it, and I think that the guidelines will be an improvement. And so I'm prepared to vote in favor of the policy.
Okay.
I do have one question. Because it says here, it says within 24 hours of the earlier of law enforcement or medical personnel confirming school-connected student overdose. So our time clock starts for the 24 hours when we're notified by the law enforcement or the medical, correct?
So it's interesting, and when I was reading the guidelines, it noted in the guidelines that it really takes a medical professional that has expertise in this to confirm that it is an overdose. But the 24 hours, I believe, starts when we'll put a team together is what will happen if we have an instance where, I guess I'll use the term suspected, where we have an incident happen where we're either administering Narcan or we've had another situation that we've involved emergency services for something else, because it doesn't have to be the administration of Narcan. It includes, when you read the guidelines, that includes an alcohol overdose also. And so the timeline would start then on when we're at a point where we're involving emergency services, because, again, I'm using the term suspected.
Because that's what we had
It's-
discussed before, and
right.
then here it says on confirmation of
Yeah,
law
I read it
enforcement.
the same way you did. It
Yeah,
was
that's why I
almost
was-
contradictory.
Yeah,
It is, and that's when I think to Dr. Burnett's point, is that the policy, but I've had two separate attorneys tell me that the policy is almost verbatim from the statute.
It is.
yeah, I was gonna say it.
Statute,
I just
yeah.
wanted clarification, because I know that's what I read also
Yeah.
in the
So we would have a
statute.
team put together, and then the team would make a decision on this, when this happened. Of course, I mean, we always want to communicate with families when we have something going on that families need to be aware. I think we're all in agreement is the suspected piece, and then getting confirmation on, because we've had this discussion also, is that we may never get confirmation
Right.
on if it was, you know, what it was, and was it an opioid? And within the guidelines, some of the sample letters want you even to describe if it was a pill and what it looked like, and those types of things. I don't know that we would ever have that accurate information to be able to communicate. And so we would do the best we can working with law enforcement to make a communication that there was an incident. We'd also work with our attorneys, making sure we're following FERPA guidelines and things also.
And that's always been my concern, is that we are putting out appropriate and accurate information.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to put out something and then, well, and we're nowhere near what actually happened.
And it's
And
funny
then we're
because,
gonna need that cyberbullying.
Exactly.
Exactly.
well, the guidelines even say put out information so that you can dispel rumors. And I thought, but the first time you put out information, that's not
There you go.
correct.
Right.
You've started a little bit of a frenzy
Exactly.
that's now spreading information that's not accurate. So,
I mean, further down in the policy, it talks about inaccuracies, having to re-notify everybody
Re-notify.
of what
yes.
was wrong.
Yep.
Well,
Now, to me, if the timeline on when you put out your information was pushed back, which lessens the chance of putting out bad information.
I guess the good news is that I think last month you said we've not had a case of an overdose.
We have not. I hope we never do, but that's
So,
the thing that
knock on
scares me the
wood.
most, yeah. Yeah.
That's why I was kind of hoping like this 24 hours of law enforcement and medical personnel confirmation would give us that accurate information. And that's when our time would start for the 24 hours.
Right.
Now, when we notify them, like, hey, you guys need to come because we have a suspected overdose.
Right, yeah. Yeah, well, a team will make that determination, and I don't know that there's anybody standing there with a, you know, there's not like a stopwatch
Well, yeah.
starts the second something happens. I feel like reasonable, you know, a lot of laws, when we were talking about parental notification and things like that, and investigations have reasonable amount of time, so it gives you that, you know, is it 24 hours, was it 27 hours, was it, we want to provide the most accurate information we can provide,
Okay.
which hopefully parents would appreciate more than
Yes.
inaccurate information.
Right, I mean, I receive phone calls, sometimes people wanting information, and I'm like, I can't give it to you because I don't know. You know, and then some things I may know, but I still can't say. So, it's tough, we're between a rock and a hard place on this one. Okay, is that all?
That is the only one here for second read.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so you've heard that, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moving proper second, any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is so carried. All right, next we have instructional report. Dr. Bishop.
Yeah, so Jenny was talking about the Five Ponds Press, social studies and science textbooks. That was a really good staff development today, sponsored by Macy McNamee. Everyone was very stoked to have resources that they could just really go to. It's really just right there. Five Ponds Press, as you remember, was designed only for Virginia. Starting in Hanover County, it is literally the resources that we need, so that we're not clawing for other resources on the internet. So that was great. The rewards program is like Spires and SIPs. That happened today too. That was an online training. I didn't attend that one. That's for older students who just need to just be better readers, you know, and it's really just going down to the roots and the foundation to be better readers. We're excited to have that program as well. Kidem Math, they also had training today, and Kidem is the math program for the elementary, and that is really a lot of hands-on. The program is right there for the teachers. Again, they have the manipulatives, they have all the resources for this. We also have Math Space for 6th and 12th. That's tomorrow. And also today, which is a very good, you know, we had the Parapro training last week for students with behavioral difficulties and trying to help navigate. All the Parapros were there. And also today we had transporting students with disabilities. So our car drivers and bus drivers came for some staff development. You know, how do you handle a student, and how do you navigate that? How do you make sure that you're using the appropriate strategies? So the bus drivers and the car drivers are very happy. It was a short professional development, but everyone needs something, just that basic foundation. So we're really working hard to provide those services for the students as they come next Monday. That's my report.
All right, thank you, Dr. Bishop. Next, we have superintendent's report.
Well, we have actually, which was in the amended agenda, is the strategic plan priorities for 25-26. And so I'm going to give an overview of that. See, it's just a few slides. I'll have you switch through those as I move instead of running down to get that. And so we've identified, that's a lot of what we've worked on this summer, is identifying our strategic priorities for 25-26. You have this document, which is a little bit more, and I recognize it's really small, but it's more of an internal document that Dr. Bishop and I will use throughout the year as we guide leadership on this. And so this is both a priority list for the strategic objectives and my goals for the year included in this. And so we will start with positive learning environment. So we're increasing the effort of our instructional team to visit classrooms this year. And so with our instructional team, you'll hear me talk a little bit about an instructional playbook. And so Dr. Bishop plays a part in that, but then our director of Compass Academy and virtual learning, math specialist, reading specialist, our ITRT, which is instructional technology resource teacher, and then our gifted coordinator are the instructional team that work on that. And so our classrooms will see more visits of people as a group coming through and doing these more intentional instructional walks and looking at what's going on in the classrooms. They've created a form for both that and also for shorter walkthroughs. We recognize our administrators have had a difficult time getting into classrooms because of all the other pressures that have put on them, and this is one of our main focuses this year, is instructional team getting in quarterly, and then our school administrators getting in on a much more regular basis. Quick walkthroughs, they're going to be looking for effective practices. The instructional team will be collecting data, analyzing that data, and what we're doing is trying to strengthen our collaboration and coordination between department and schools also. And so we have lots of good things going on, but just the nature of teaching, the work sometimes tends to be in silos. And so that classroom doors don't get open, sometimes grade levels don't expand out. We know that grade level to grade level, sometimes there's difficulty there, and then between schools, all of our departments, when we get outside of buildings, are there to support student learning. And so we want to do better of collaborating and coordinating there. And then also recognizing and giving more positive feedback, which we know will help keep the staff motivated. And so those are focuses for positive learning environment. When we thought about deeper learning and really looked into that, we recognize that there's an urgent need to ensure classroom instruction and assessments are aligned to state standards. which has been a heavy lift because we've had updates in English, math, history, science. This past testing season, which we just concluded in May of this year, we had new assessments in both math and in reading. So we've invested a lot into the adoption of high-quality instructional materials, and I'm excited to hear that the feedback already is that that has been very well received. They have been vetted, our materials have been, they've been improved, and so sometimes it's textbooks, sometimes it is the curriculum that relates to the science of reading. And we want to make sure that what we have put our efforts into is what is being delivered in the classroom. And those walkthroughs and instructional observations will also help to ensure that. I mentioned an instructional playbook when I spoke about the instructional team. That has been 2 years in the works, but it is a fabulous resource hub. It's all electronic for our faculty, and it is expected to be used this year, and that also will be monitored, the use of those resources. Most of our curriculum maps have been developed. We are still in the process of finishing some and tweaking up some, so we want to make sure that they are finalized and that they are matched with our standards. And then our deeper learning focus, really the deeper learning focus and the positive learning environment priorities are somewhat intertwined because feedback is such an important piece we recognize both for positive learning environment and deeper learning. And that will come through walkthroughs and observations. We want to provide immediate and constructive feedback because we can all take feedback. So we want to model that at the administrative level also. Part of what we've recognized when we talk about deeper learning is that our state assessments are not going away. And the state board is likely going to increase cut scores for the new math and reading SOLs that our kids were tested on this year. And so we need to ensure that we're also teaching the strategies needed to take these assessments, especially in the younger years. It's understanding the vocabulary, it's how to approach a reading text, it's understanding how to approach a mathematics problem or a science problem, just the intricacies of taking the assessment. A little bit separate from what they're actually learning content and mastering in the classroom. And so we want to make sure we've got to focus on those also, which will help to increase mastery, help to increase assessment performance, and because we can't forget that the assessment performance is what we are measured on at the state level. So those things come into play for deeper learning. When we talk about capacity building, we want to provide, in addition to what Dr. Bishop has shared in our professional development that we've already been offering, we want to provide time and structure for new teachers and those that we identify needing supports to observe effective peers. We know that we've got some great resources in our division already, and so we want to provide that time. And when I say needed support, it's visiting a classroom with one of our specialists to ensure that what we've sent you into a classroom to identify is what you've got the opportunity to speak about and learn about. And so none of these things are to add new training or new practices to what our staff is learning. It's to enhance what we're already doing so that we become stronger. And again, Dr. Bishop had shared some of the trainings that we've already had this year. We have tried to be very strategic and intentional with what we are bringing in for our teachers or what we're sending our teachers out for, and so that we are meeting our needs the most effective and efficient way we can. Part of that will be analyzing data also as we identify additional resources that need to come into play, which also goes into our budgetary planning. That's a piece of what we do when we begin focusing on the budget and what is really what we're getting the most bang for our buck for in supporting our staff. And then lastly, when we speak of community engagement priorities, one of our goals is to continue to increase our social media presence. We started to work on that last year and identified a staff member to take that on. We know we still need to grow in that area, and that's promoting events through notifications, targeted outreach, making sure we're getting messages out to our intended audience so that they are aware of happenings and things that they really should be present for. The use of Aptogee rooms, and so that's how all of our classrooms are going to communicate with families going forward. And so Apogee is, I say Apogee, it's our Middlesex County Public Schools app that can be that's downloaded on phones if you have that. It's how we communicate messages out. It's got calendars on it, all of those events. And so added to that this year is a section of it that's called Rooms. And that is how all of our teachers will communicate. And so in the past, the elementary school has used Class Dojo to message back and forth with parents. Middle and high school have used Canvas. It's all now, we've gotten rid of Dojo. We're not using Canvas for messaging. It will all be through Rooms. The nice piece about that also is there's a protection piece in it, in that all administrators have access to the communication that's back and forth, and where it's not a separate communication that we can't follow back up on and track and make sure things were communicated in the way in which they were expected to be. We also want to identify specific needs that can be met through potential community partnerships and then engage those partners. Some of the conversation we had at our retreat was writing letters to send out in the community on, you can be a community partner. After we went back and visited that, we felt like we needed to first identify what the needs were and be very intentional on who we reach out to provide any support, volunteer opportunities, anything like that. And then lastly, as part of our community engagement priority, as we speak of volunteers, we're going to launch our Harbor Lights campaign, and that'll be to highlight community volunteers. So along with our strategic plan charting our course, Harbor Lights will be the people or organizations that guide others safely, like a lighthouse in aiding our navigation as we continue to chart our course. And so I know that was a lot of information on a lot of topics right now, but I'm happy to answer questions if you have any questions related to those priorities.
I think the communication piece is really good to have one app.
Mhm.
And I've had kids in a grade and the teachers in that grade are using different apps, so this will be nice for families.
Yeah, and that is what we have emphasized in our buildings, is that this is what we use. We've got families that have children in all three schools. And it'll be a one-stop place to get all of that information and have all that communication in one place.
I was looking at it while you were talking, like, these are all of them that we've used.
Yeah.
You know, so this will be very nice not to have all of that.
Yeah.
Delete them.
I know.
So being you have kids in the school, you have kids in the school, what is your take on using the apps and how everything work? And
Luckily, my kids are in the same grade, so I was able to use one app when they were in elementary school. Now they have one app that we're using for all the schools, so that has been nice. But I could see where the frustration would be if you have kids in multiple schools.
Is there something similar like that for sports, so that all of the,
So our goal will be to use Rooms for sports also. And we had some of our coaches experimenting with that this year. The little bit of a challenge is that all of our coaches are not MCPS employees, and they're kind of in the, habit of doing that. But that is our goal, and it could be that if the coach is not going to do it, then the athletic director or the administrator of the school is communicating that way. Because then that does keep it all in one spot.
so for the throw share, I've received the text and the notifications that we should be getting that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, so like, if you haven't, who do you tell? Do you find that out at open house? Because you guys have said several times, and you've done a good job of
Sign up for it.
communicating.
And so you should have, because I know we've had families sign up for it. And so
I mean, I have the app and I can get to the rooms, but is there a code that's associated with my students or other parents' particular students?
I am not in the weeds of it, and I don't know that
In
Dr.
terms of
Bishop
rooms, you will get
is-
notified by the teacher, and that'll be, so they will
So it could be that
notify you.
has not come to you yet because your kids are going to be in multiple classrooms.
And the
But I
classes
will
aren't set
confirm
yet.
that and
Yeah.
make sure that we're communicating that information accurately.
I was
Also,
just
because I know
wondering.
we've seen a list of, when we had our last training on it, there was a list of families that we could see who is registered and who is not registered. So I know some of that has come through.
And some of the notifications said if you haven't gotten your stuff yet, it's coming. So I just wondered if anybody asks me, and I was curious myself, who do you tell that you haven't gotten it yet?
We'll find out about
Yeah,
that
we'll put-
definitely,
yeah.
and make sure that's communicated out.
Yeah, awesome.
Please
Because
give
there
us
is
feedback.
stuff, and
Yeah.
you'll hear that in some of my report tonight, there is still stuff that I say is going to happen, and you're gonna get more information on it.
No, I think it's great.
All right, or if there are no other questions, then I will move to the superintendent's report. I think tonight's my talking night. And so I think last month I had shared that we had some funds on hold because they were under review by the federal government. They had been released, and so those funds remain in our budget for this year. We will have a student representative joining us beginning in September. Mrs. Fleet will put the application out to students next week, and they will submit their application, and then there's a pretty quick turnaround on that. So we will have a student representative on the board this year also. Other information that I'll share that just went out to families this evening. Let's see, and some that, this went out to families, and it was also shared at our convocation. We have 30 new staff members this year. This includes teachers, support staff, and operations personnel, and they were welcomed. Some before our opening convocation last week, and then some we welcomed at convocation. When we look at safety measures, so last year we put into place the Raptor Visitor Management System. It's at all 3 schools, and it was to require visitors, contractors, volunteers, whoever was coming into the building to present a valid ID, which usually is a driver's license, which is scanned for entry. Last year, we did allow some manual entry if someone didn't have their ID with them, but we will no longer permit that this year, and it has been disabled on those machines. And so that information has gone out. We will continue to remind families that and visitors that if they're coming into the building if they're coming to drop off a lunch, that can be passed on. If they're coming into the building for a meeting, things like that, that they need to be in the building, they will have to have an ID, and they will have to go through that system that's at all 3 schools. Transportation, we do have some changes there related to bus numbers or 3-digit bus route numbers. We're moving to a 3-digit bus route number system. It's probably going to be the same bus that comes by your house, and it's probably going to be the same driver that comes by your house. But in a way to help us, if we've got a bus that's broken down, or we've had to put a substitute on a bus, or we have to do some doubling up, students will go by a route number. So it may be, instead of bus 5 now, maybe it's 101. Don't quote me that 5 and 101 are the same, but that would be an example of what the change is. That is information that is still being finalized and will come out to families before the first day of school. I will say, do not look in the newspaper this week for bus routes, because we're not putting that in the newspaper, and the reason is that it'll be communicated to families. It'll be put on our website. The way the format that the Southside Sentinel needed for that, it was a little bit cumbersome and the time that it took to get it in that correct format, where we can get it in a format that's easily communicated out to families and then also accessible on our website. And so families will have that. If they struggle with the website piece, or maybe they didn't get the communication for some reason, we will have people at open house from transportation at all 3 of our schools that can help with that also, or they can simply call if they've not been able to get it on their own. And then open house, you shared, is this Thursday from 4 to 7. That is at all of our schools. Release time this year, schools still start at 8:15. They dismiss at 3:15. Last year we moved to a 12:15 dismissal for early release days. We'll keep that in place. All students do receive lunch before they leave. And speaking of lunch, we still qualify for the USDA community eligibility provision. So breakfast and lunch is free for all of our students this year, and no paperwork needs to be completed. And so those are updates for the superintendent's report.
Okay, I did see it in the Sentinel that the cameras have been put on the buses.
Cameras are on all the buses.
Okay, how many weeks will that be advertised?
So what we'll do is probably continue to put the information out on our Facebook and send information out that way. I don't know how often the Sentinel would continue to run something like that. We'll use our social media and website and things like that to communicate. I think the most important thing is communicating, and we've got a graphic to do that, what it looks like when you need to stop and when it's okay to continue moving.
Well, I would ask if we could, working through the Sentinel, is that it be advertised for the rest of, at least for 4 more weeks, every week, front page.
I think you can request Mr. Chudy to request that of the editor.
Yes,
I can send an email asking for it.
yes. We just want people to know and understand, you know, the importance of it, and that they should stop and pay attention. And if you don't now, you will be recorded and you will be issued a summons for it. So we just want it out there that it's going to happen. It's already happened. So, but that's what I would ask of the Sentinel, if it could be advertised for at least the next 4 weeks. Front page. Probably
They'll
won't
sell
be.
you an ad.
Okay?
Maybe we can get our graphic in there next time.
Okay. All right. Do we have any old business? Any new? All right, we'll now go into closed meeting. Pursuant to the Code of Virginia, the board will go into closed session to discuss personnel matters and student matters and legal matters. May I have a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Moving properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in closed session. motion to come out of close?
So moved.
Second.
Moving properly second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, in pursuant to the code, the board has discussed personnel matters, student matters, and legal matters during closed session. Matters discussed in closed session has been added to the consent agenda and other parts of the agenda as action item, action and information items. Members, please certify that only lawful matters were discussed in closed session. Board members respond by roll call.
Dr. Burnett,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. McMurtry,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Ms. Robbins.
Yes.
All right, can I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moving properly second, any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is so carried. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moving properly second, any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is so carried. We are now adjourned.